Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Devils United. Let's just say, if you was a mutual watching this game today, you'd get your gains worth. Let's just say, 7 goals scored, 7 goals, and it ends up being 4 Chelsea, 3 Manchester United. Absolutely pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. Honestly, if anyone ever called Bruno a penalty merchant ever again, I will literally never listen to you. Cole Palmer is the definition of a penalty merchant. That second penalty should have never stood for Chelsea. Never. Dalot did not even foul him. He slipped. He barely even touched him. Don't even get me started on the fact that we cannot. How can you not even mark Chelsea's most dangerous player in the box? You know what? We deserve that. If you can't mark Cole Palmer, there's something wrong with this club. There's generally something wrong with him. Oh, got no words at this point with the patheticness of some players. Good evening, Reese. Thanks for coming into the chat. Hope you're well. Hey there, Torstein. Hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. I'm sure you're very happy tonight. Good evening, Niall. Hope you are well. Thank you for coming into the chat. And you know what, right? I did actually have a poll what said player of the match. And you know what? It's getting deleted because no one's getting a player of the match. Hey, Luca. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Good win for United. Spoke too soon. Said it from day one. Garnacho is a special player. The best we could have for years to come. Absolutely incredible. Hey, Henry. Thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. Just as Reece said, hit the like, share, subscribe. What a game. 1, 2, 3, 4. Chelsea get... Oh. Look at this, man. You're all speaking far too soon. Come on, people. If you enjoyed the channel and like what you watch, make sure you batter that subscribe button, share, subscribe, like. Yeah, you all know what to do. For free. Luca's laughing. Why didn't we use game management and see that out? Manchester United do not know how to keep hold of a lead, Niall. They just don't. It's just absolutely pathetic. We can't keep on. When we've scored, we always have to concede. It was that penalty what done it. We lost our heads. Because that was never a penalty. I do not care what people say. That second penalty was not a penalty. Boo from Niall. How could we be 3-2 up and throw that away? To be fair, we was 2-0 behind at one point. But top 4 fans can hold that with... I said ages ago, we're not getting it. Squad needs a bit of clear out. This is the problem, Niall, is we can't just clear out a squad. We need who's gonna pay the amount of wages what these players are on? Let's have a look at some Man United players. So let's have a look who's on what wages. I'm gonna get the payroll up. Just why not? Casemiro, 350k a week. Varane, 340k a week. Rashford, 300k a week. Martial, 250k a week. Mason Mount, 250k a week. Bruno Fernandes, 240k a week. Anthony, 200k a week. Maguire, 904k a week. Ericsson, 150k a week. Let's just look at no one's going to pay that wages to Maguire. No one's going to pay that wages to Anthony. Bruno, that's the biggest contract he's going to get now, because in the next couple of years he is going to be past his prime. Martial's certainly not going to get them wages again, which is why he's leaving on a free. Varane will be leaving on a free because no one's going to pay 340k a week unless you're in the Saudi league. The same with Casemiro. No one's going to spend 350k a week on Casemiro unless you're in the Saudi league. So how can we clear out players with wages like that? Trophies are nothing, and that was a disgrace. Top 4 gone. FA Cup is our only saving grace. Cole Palmer only scores penalties. He's a penalty merchant, man. Absolute disgraceful. No, but the thing is, though, it's not a penalty. Like, I've been critical of Dalot, and that was not a penalty. Never a penalty. Never, never, never a penalty. I still say Garnacho because he was actually familiar. I'm not giving it anyone. No one. That just annoyed me too much. Hey to our Lumber, thanks for coming in. Hope you are well. What happened? Good question. And honestly, oh, good, thank you. So glad you are well. Both penalties were soft. Absolutely. The first one was extremely soft, but I think it was just about a penalty. But that second one was never a penalty. And Chelsea, PL. Look, penalties awarded this season. So let's have a look. Who's had the most penalties this season? And I think that's just going to speak a lot as well. There you go. Most penalties. I'm not too sure if it's took in consideration today. Most penalties that's been received. Chelsea, 9 penalties has been received this season, scoring 8 and missing 1. So that just speaks levels on its own. That Chelsea has had the most penalties awarded. The fact that what I don't understand is with Chelsea, right? They're a mid-table team. They want to give them penalties, right, to win them games and points, just because they want Chelsea in European competition because the amount of money Chelsea generate into the Premier League. I do not care what it is. It's a fix. Because Chelsea do not deserve to be in do not deserve to be in European competition. The club is a mess from top to bottom, and 9 penalties, what might not be included today, that just speaks levels of how much the Premier League has favoritised Chelsea. Because look, Liverpool 8 penalties this season, Arsenal 8, Newcastle 7, Manchester City 5, Manchester United 5. Let's see who's been given the least amount of penalties. Tottenham Hotspur 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Burnley 2, Fulham 2, Everton 2, Bournemouth 2. Let's be honest, it speaks a lot of levels in my opinion. They just want them to be in European competition just because the amount of money they generate in. I genuinely think the amount of penalties they've had this season is a fix. Because hardly any of them have looked like a penalty in my opinion. 3-2 to 4-3 in short space of time, ridiculous. Generally, some of this lot just paid off. Cole Palmer should officially call his name to Cold Palmer. No, his name should be Penaldo Pelmer. Pelmer should be his name. Cole Palmer has a cheat to say he was a United fan growing up. We can't exactly just say, like, obviously, he is a United fan growing up. We've seen the pictures that he is. But the thing is he wants to have a career, and you can't blame him. If he's going to get a penalty awarded to him on a plate, take it. It's the Premier League referees that are causing it, and the trash what's in VAR. Got to remember, Cole Palmer is from Manchester. And? Who cares that Cole Palmer is from Manchester? I lost. Oh, tell me about it, Abdullah. Oh my God, tell me about it. Thank you for coming into the chat. Hope you're well. Did you get my messages on Instagram? If you've messaged my Devils United one, I have got rid of it. The Instagram. But there is my personal Instagram, so you can give me a follow on there. Can definitely tell you United are nowhere near most clubs. Mentality players lack. Exactly. They don't have any mentality in them whatsoever. They don't give a crap. The thing is, right, the best off being out of Europe because they don't deserve Europe. A club, right, who can't win away games, who got absolutely embarrassed against Copenhagen and Galatasaray, do not deserve to be in Europe. I'm sorry, but we don't. I'm hoping for, if we do get in Europe, do the Europa or the conference, whatever, I'm not fussed. because we don't deserve Champions League football. Champions League football is deserving for teams that are actually decent. And that's this season, as it pains me to say, City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. They're the only teams at this moment in time who deserve Champions League football. No other teams do. So it's going to be the fight between Villa and Spurs now. And then Manchester United are going to either get Europa or the Conference. And if we get either of the two, just let the kids play it. Not because I'm disrespecting it, because the kids will play a much better shift than half of these egos what are in the first team. Did you say Qatar is taking Manchester to court for $7 billion about the funding? I've been hearing all sorts, to be honest. From what I heard, he was putting a bid in. He put the bid in that Qatari, that Sheikh Jassim, and it was only for $5 billion. The Glazers are never going to sell it for $5 billion, because if you're doing that, that's for 100%, and then they only own 80%, so that's only going to work out about 500 per Glazer, so they was never going to do that for sure. Who was the ref tonight? Couldn't care less, to be honest. Hey Rather, hope you're well, thanks for coming in. Who was the VAR ref? David Coote. People are, David Coote's a Man United fan. Well, does he look like a Man United fan awarding them kind of penalties? Didn't know. United are full of egos. I don't care. Agreed. And this ref also, I am tired of Premier League refs. You know what? Get rid of him, man. I've been saying this for a long time. Bring in refs from other leagues. Ship the majority of these refs out. Get rid of them. Bring in Portuguese refs, German refs, Spanish refs. Bring them all from all different leagues, and then have a mixture of the referees. Because I am sick of seeing Anthony Taylor, David Coote, bloody all of them. I'm sick of them all. I can't stand any of them. They anger me. I despise them. Maze, no one cares to play for the manager. They are holding their name of I play for United. Exactly. We lost our head. We can't break teams down. Exactly. Good result for Liverpool. United play like a low league team. That's generous, to be honest. I've seen a lot more League Two teams that play better football than Manchester United. If Manchester United went and played against Stockport County tomorrow, let's just say United will have a tough game out there. Hey Chris, hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. I'm always freezing, you see. I've got like a big light right in front of me, and I've got my hoodie on. Like, it's so warm, and that is the only thing that's keep. I just love being warm. I love my hoodie. It's just comfortable. Jared Gillett was the referee tonight. Never even heard of him. If you can't be a shocking Chelsea, that says it all. Well, yeah, exactly. So we'll start off with the lineup for both teams. And break it down a little bit. There was a couple of changes for Erik ten Hag's team. If there was any changes for Chelsea, I wouldn't have a clue. So if you do know if they've made any changes, just let me know, because I wouldn't have a clue if they changed the team or not. I don't pay attention to Chelsea, to be fairly honest. So they're not a team that strikes me by excitement to watch. So we'll get the lineup anyway, first of all, from Manchester United. I actually had it on a different app and then it disappeared, so I have to get up on Twitter now. So here was the lineup officially for Man United: Onana, Maguire, Fernandes, Højlund, Garnacho, Casemiro, Varane, Dalot, Antony, Wan-Bissaka, Kobbie Mainoo. I think the majority of them was definitely ones that we knew was going to start. Anyway, we knew that Martinez was injured, Lindelof is injured. Both of them are out for a month, so it was obvious Maguire was going to play. I was 50-50 if Varane was going to play based off what he was mentioning about concussion, but he's injured now anyway, so we won't see him. Probably going to be the last appearance as a Manchester United player for Varane, if you want me to be fairly honest. Antony for Rashford was an interesting one. I think Antony actually had a good shift. today. I think he was probably one of the better players. That assist he done for Garnacho's second goal was absolutely fantastic. Maguire was poor in the first half, as was Casemiro, as was. Uh, I don't think Garnacho played well until he scored. Bruno was shocking until he scored as well. I just think Chelsea did lose their heads after the second goal by that poor pass by Caicedo. But I think we do need to rotate the squad at the end of the day. We do have the FA Cup. It's not as though we're in any other competition, but it's just not right for Garnacho, for a 19-year-old, to play 30 games straight, starting them 30 games straight. It's not healthy. And so many people are slagged off Ole, for instance, for not rotating his team. And I just think it's not right for Garnacho to play all them minutes at the moment. He still needs to break in. And you look at all the top managers that are in Europe. They're not just throwing in an academy player. Like even Jamal Musiala, who plays for Bayern Munich, got eventually broken. It's not as though even he just like fully went into that team and came an instant starter. Does it show how special Garnacho is? Possibly, but I just don't think it's healthy. It's not good for his well-being for sure. But here's Chelsea's lineup: Petrovic, Gusto, Tisana, Badial, Cucurella, Caicedo, Enzo, Gallagher, Palmer, Jackson, Mudryk. I know Mudryk's been playing a couple of games. Don't like Mudryk. Jackson, he does pretty much start every game, as does Palmer. Palmer is a fantastic talent. I think he's a great player. And he'd be one of the only Chelsea players I would take at Manchester United. I think he's class. And it was best for his career that he did leave Chelsea. Even if you took away his goals, he does have a great assist rate anyway. So, as much as I can be fuming about the penalties, what can I say? Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo were both poor for me in that game. Mainu had them both on strings. I'm going to show a picture of Enzo shortly. What I want you to see. Cucurella was getting absolutely skinned alive by Anthony. And I think if Anthony is going to be skinning you, I just think that speaks a lot of levels about a player. Like, there's not many players Anthony is skinned, but to skin Cucurella, that is like frightening. Let's be real. Like, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. I think Petrovic was very unlucky with the goals. I don't think he had a bad game. I like Gusto as well, but Gusto wasn't at his best. But yeah, that was the Chelsea lineup. And then if you're looking here on the website here for Foot Mob, you can see like some good ratings for Fernandez, Gallagher, Jackson for some reason, Palmer, Bruno, Garnacho. Yeah, so to be honest, neither of the defense deserves good ratings, because they all conceded really bad goals. But and you can see here as well, the momentum throughout the game it was all Manchester United until they got to the 3rd minute, and that's when Chelsea scored in the 4th. Chelsea had the momentum until the 6th. Then it was all Man United again until the 15th minute, and then 2-0 in the 19th minute when Chelsea picked up the momentum from the 15th to the 21st minute. And you can see the amount of momentum Manchester United had in the 2 goals, because we had momentum from the 31st minute all the way up to the 42nd minute. So I think that was the most momentum we probably had in the entire game, 10 minutes. But it was a very fluent game in the respect of, like, it was full attack, both teams. The game was so open. And it just, as I say, it just really speaks a lot about both defenses, because both defenses have been poor this season. Both Man United and Chelsea's have been terrible. And I'm not people will excuse the injuries, but we can't excuse any injuries because we have conceded over 200 shots in the Premier League in 2024, and that's absolutely atrocious. And you can see once we scored that third goal, Chelsea was all momentum from the 73rd minute all the way up till the final minute of the game. And I think that's absolutely dangerous to have over 15 minutes of Chelsea full momentum. And we can't allow that in games, because if you was playing, this is not me going to be disrespecting Chelsea when I say this, but if you're going to give that momentum to Liverpool, or you're going to give that momentum to Manchester City, believe me, they're not going to score just 2 goals against you. They'll rip you apart. They will genuinely rip you apart, and it's going to be absolutely frightening against Liverpool this weekend. Just because of what Manchester United is going to bring. We aren't, again, we've only got 2 centre-backs now, because I think Willie Kawamba will end up having to start, because Varane's injured, Johnny's back injured again. He was definitely rushed, but Johnny was absolutely outstanding when he did play. And if, for instance, Johnny started that game, I would have gave him player of the match easily. But I think Ten Hag should have really started Willie Kawamba. I think that was the best option to do. Do that for Varane. I know he's probably not the sharpest of players, but because he's still only very raw. But you can't rush Johnny, who's been injured for a few weeks. Can't rush Varane when he came off injured anyway. I just don't get it. What is it with this club and rushing players back? I know that we're getting injuries left, right, and centre, but this is what your academy is for, to use them when you got that many injuries. It's awful, absolutely awful. And look at this. Stats: ball possession. Chelsea have 56%. I'm not bothered about the possession. I don't give a crap about possession. And you can see here all the shots what's been taken in the entire game. Palmer here. Gallagher, that's when he hit the post. Desani when he Mudryk, God knows where that went. But look, you can see here Garnacho was right near the box when he scored. All the goals come from inside the box, but from all different areas. And you can see a bit of a pattern for Chelsea where they scored, because they've used them areas quite a lot when they've scored, and getting into them areas. And you know what, as well, what I sussed out Chelsea's gameplay, right, in 30 minutes of that game. So how Manchester United couldn't do that, it's beyond me, because that's what they want to do. They want to attack, pass it to Cole Palmer and get him score, because they know Cole Palmer's a threat and Cole Palmer will get in the back of the net. Because Nicholas Jackson will put it wide. Modric doesn't know what a goal looks like. And Kuku's, I think he's injured. So Cole Palmer's their only bet. He's from Australia, the referee. I agree, never heard of him. Manny Mays streaming in the comfort you love to see. Abdullah, the way you said mid, we open too much, need to close the gap to Palmer. Exactly. The amount of space that Cole Palmer had was absolutely disgusting, especially for that goal that they scored at the very last minute. When you're doing a corner and you're not marking their best player, there's something wrong with you. Them players who was on the pitch clearly didn't even have an IQ, didn't have a good IQ between them all. If they can't mark Cole Palmer they could not mark. And that raises massive alarm bells to me if you can't mark Cole Palmer. Hey Liam, hope you're well. Thanks for coming in. Same beep, Buddha. As always, man. As always, it's just got to the point. We just expect it now. We just expect it. I've answered this question a lot before, Torstein. I'm not one of them who will slag off a manager on social media and have some kind of agenda by saying am I in, am I out, am I in, am I out. At the end of the day, I just want the best of the team. But I must say that if we continue losing these games, Ten Hag isn't going to have a job at the end of the season. But I do believe, though, this Manchester, despite what's happened with this Manchester United team, I think Ten Hag can still get another decent job. Because if he went and left Manchester United at the end of the season, I think he'll still get into that Bayern team, 100%. Well, City aren't missing Palmer for sure, or even Gallagher. Yeah, they're not missing Palmer, not at all. They didn't even use Palmer, and they still sold him on for what 50, 60 million, and I'm sure to Chelsea fans that's looking like a bargain now. Caicedo was rubbish today. Yeah, Caicedo was probably the worst player on the pitch for me. Hey Static, hope you are well. Thank you for coming into the chat. Question Maze, when will the club realise playing this way with these players is not sustainable? The thing is though, Ravi, we can't just get rid of we can't just offload a load of players because we're not going to sell them all. So we're going to have to do that gradually. Who wants to sell them, or we're going to have to let them go on a free. We're going to take a hit on probably near enough every player. And we do have a lot of injuries, so we're having to still play the same rubbish lineup week in, week out, because we've got injuries in Martinez, Lindelof, we've got Johnny Evans, we've got Varane injured. We've got quite a few players injured, so let's have a look. Injuries. So if I get the injury list now. So Manchester United injury list. Premier League injuries for Manchester United. Luke Shaw, thigh injury, currently being assessed, ruled out. Pressed the wrong thing. We're not too sure when Luke's going to be back. I think he's going to probably be out for the rest of the season now, in my opinion. Lisandro Martinez, injured again, calf, heel, shin injury, currently being assessed. He is going to be out for a month. Victor Lindelof, thigh injury, not available, going to be out for a month. Tyrell Malacia, it's a strange one. Malacia has been out all season, so we haven't got a current left back in at the moment at all. We haven't had a left back properly since. Well, Luke came back for a few games and then got injured again, so we haven't had a proper left back since like November time, probably September time, and we shouldn't have ever got rid of Reguilon personally, but he knew that the loan was only till January, and Malacia has had a few setbacks. I personally think he's got an ACL, in my opinion. Martial, still injured with a groin, hip, pelvic injury. I think he's going to be back next month, from what I remember. So now Varane and Johnny's back injured, so that's 2 more injuries on top of that. So we got near enough the full defence injured, which isn't good, but we can't put them as an excuse, as I say. Hit the like, share, subscribe, just as Static has said, 7 likes. Thank you all who's liked so far. In your opinion, do you think Manchester or Liverpool will win Sunday? I think if we play the way we play, Liverpool's going to win. I'm not confident based off today for sure. Mays, Liverpool going to be feasting on United. If this is how you're going to play, need to pull United's pants down. We haven't even got no defence whatsoever, though. That's the problem. No defence at all. Hey there, Craig. Hope you're well. Thank you for coming into the chat. Would you take 80 million for Rashford? As much as everybody would say, yeah, he's only just signed a new deal and he's on a 5-year deal. So I think we can get more than just 80 million from Marcus Rashford. We could push easily for 100 million from PSG, especially with the amount of wages that Kylian Mbappe was on. Look at Liverpool. We changed the whole midfield in one summer, so it can be done. But the thing is, you got rid of midfielders as well. You got rid of Henderson and you got rid of Fabinho in one season. We're not going to get rid of we're not going to get rid of loads of players in one season. I've already shown the wage bill. No one's going to pay the wage bill of Casemiro, Martial, Varane, Marcus Rashford. No one's going to pay none of them wage bills, and Anthony as well. So why would a player? Here's a question: why would a player move for a massive pay cut and think, right, I can sit on the bench for 200k a week? They're not going to. That's why we're not going to get rid of them. Yeah, I'm gonna show this picture. I was excited to show it when we were winning, but I'll still show it anyway because despite the loss, Kobe Mainu did have a good game. And he's probably the only great spark what's at Manchester United this season. Kobe has played very well, but I quite like this. Today, Mainu managed to put Enzo on his bum, and I thought that was definitely quality to see. Yeah, it was good. I wanted to laugh at it more, but I just can't at this point. Got no energy to laugh. If you don't laugh, you'll cry, man. Like it's just one of them. But before we scored, we was atrocious, and once we scored the third, we was atrocious. As much as I say, the penalties were penalties. We've got no excuse for Gallagher's goal. We've got no excuse for the last goal for Palmer. So yeah, I hear you. No one will pay the full price. That's the thing, though. No one will pay the full price. And Manchester United is not going to entertain certain offers. So, for instance, Maguire, they're not going to entertain 10 million for Harry Maguire. Let's be real. No one's going to entertain that. Why would we pay for? Why would we do that? And then a lot of them's just going on a free. I'm always talking about Manchester United that we're not going to sell the players at market value, and I said I'll happily take a loss. But there's a difference between taking a loss and being having your pants pulled down because. And I don't think it's right that we should have our pants pulled down. So it's just going to be the case of we'll take either a £5 to £10 million pay cut for the player, or we let them go on a free. But I've explained this so many times. I'm off to bed. Night. Good night, Henry. Thanks for coming in. West Ham didn't turn down Maguire. Maguire actually turned down West Ham, and Manchester United turned down the bid for West Ham because they bidded 30 million for Harry Maguire, and Manchester United wouldn't entertain it. Because they said they wanted at least another 10 million for Harry Maguire, which is understandable because I think for when you're paying 80 million for a player, if he's worth it or not, you want at least half of what you paid for him. So I think Manchester United, especially when you look at it now, that it was a good idea. But West Ham did not turn down Harry Maguire, and I can say that's an absolute fact. They didn't turn down Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire turned down the club because he didn't want to go to West Ham. And they was even begging him to come by saying, "We will give you the captaincy," and he said they didn't want to come. So it wasn't West Ham who turned down Maguire. Maguire turned them down, and we rejected the bid. It's only football. Yeah, it's only football. Yep, as always. We'll do the ratings anyway for Manchester United. What can I say? It's not been too good, but yeah. Let's do the ratings, and then we'll go and leave then. So, I'm not obviously going to give too many good ratings. I'm not going to be a player of the match because no one deserves it. We'll start with Andre Onana. Onana, I don't think he was at fault for any of the goals, but he did concede 4. He was very robotic with his penalties. I'm going to give him a 4.5 just because we've conceded 4 goals at the end of the day, 2 of them being penalties. And as much as still, it's not fair that he didn't do necessarily something wrong, and I will hold my hands up, he didn't really do anything wrong. It's just the fact that we just can't concede 4 goals, and the amount of shots we conceded as well was atrocious. Dwyer Lump has given a 4 for everyone minus Garnacho, and I can understand that completely. Wan-Bissaka didn't have a good game, to be fairly honest. 3 for Wan-Bissaka. Didn't do too much in the game, so Varane, he was struggling from the 35th minute, and for some reason, Eric Ten Hag still kept him on, which I think until half time, which I think was wrong, especially when Harry Maguire was screaming saying he's injured, take him off, take him off. He didn't necessarily do anything wrong either, so I'm gonna give Varane an average 5, just because obviously, as I say, he didn't do anything wrong in that game. He didn't do anything wrong for the goals we conceded either. Harry Maguire, however, I think he was another one who had a poor game. He gave silly possession away quite a lot. I think, especially the first goal from Conor Gallagher, he was very, very poor with that. I think the thing is with Maguire, he definitely has improved from when the final season of Ole, but I just think now he's too inconsistent. And I know he's had injuries and things, and he never used to be injury prone either. But he's had a fair few injuries. I'm gonna give Maguire the same as Wan-Bissaka and giving him a 3. Dalot, another player, he wasn't good whatsoever. As I've repeated several times, that penalty was never a penalty from Madueke. I think he was extremely unlucky, but I think Dalot was still very poor. I'm gonna give Dalot a 4. Casemiro, another player, he was atrocious, giving the ball away very cheaply. He had a chance to score in the second half as well, but he tipped it over the net. He did. I can't even, apart from that, all the times he give the ball away, I can't even think of anything Casemiro really done, to be honest. I'm going to give Casemiro a 3. Casemiro was shocking. Kobe Mainu. Mainu had a good game. He was doing some well defensive duties. He done a nice cross to Garnacho, which Garnacho didn't really take very well. He was bringing the ball forward quite well. I think he was. You could tell the Chelsea players were very worried over Kobe. Because when people were trying to defend against Kobe, they was using about 3 of their players to try and get onto him. So I think that really speaks about the talent he really is. Gonna give Kobe a 6.5. As I say, he had a good game overall. Anthony, I actually think that was probably one of his best games this season. Skinned Cucurella alive. He was a lot of confident. Very confident. He was managing to get the ball in the box. He actually done a nice cross to Garnacho to get the 3rd goal. They were actually, apart from, and that penalty wasn't a penalty either for what Anthony had done. I feel sorry for the lad as well, to be fairly honest. But I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna give Anthony a 6.5. I think if, for instance, we won that game, Anthony would have had a much better rating, in my opinion. He would have easily got a 7.58 because he was that good. But just because we've lost, although I couldn't give him anything higher than the 6.5. Bruno, despite the goal, he was very poor. He gave the ball away very cheaply, throwing his hands in the air constantly because he was giving the ball away cheaply, and he thought he was getting fouled, diving constantly. I just don't think he's a good enough captain. And I know I've said so many times that Bruno is the captain for Man United, but watching the light, he definitely isn't. We need a much better captain next season. We can't continue to have Bruno Fernandes as a captain. Bruno Fernandes is not a good enough captain right now. His attitude, he's got a good mentality. Don't get me wrong, because he wants to win, and I will hold my hands up to that. But apart from that, he's not captain material at Manchester United. Captain materials are the Roy Keanes, the Gary Nevilles, the Michael Carricks, the Wayne Rooneys. Bruno is nothing like any of them players. He never will be like any of them players. And as much as it pains me to say, because Bruno probably is the best signing post Sir Alex Ferguson by a country mile, but he's just not doing it at all. I don't know whether he's just very tired. Because he never gets dropped. I don't know if it's because of that. But yeah, Bruno. I'm gonna give Bruno a 4 for me today because still it was very very poor. Alejandro Garnacho. Garnacho was definitely a great spark today. He took the goals extremely well. I think he's a fantastic talent. He probably would have got player of the match for me if we had have won. But yeah, I'm gonna give Garnacho a 7. Just because, as I say, he was fantastic. He was fantastic today, and we can't knock that. And lastly, Højlund. Højlund was pretty much non-existent the entire game. I can't even think of what Højlund even done, to be honest. So 3 for Højlund. Yeah, so they're my ratings for today's game. And they're not good. The other positive ones are Anthony, Mainu, and Garnacho. So one of them. Maisy, do you trust the assistant manager for Manchester United? I don't know too much about the assistant managers, so it's one of them. Everyone apart from Garnacho gets a 3. Everyone gets a 3 apart from Garnacho. Garnacho gets a 7. Lisa, you don't know what you're on about. You know what? It's fine. If you don't agree with my opinion, that's okay. You still give me the view. So thanks very much for watching, Lisa. And you need to look at Bruno because he was fantastic when he first come. And I actually praised Anthony. I said this was the best game Anthony had in a Manchester United shirt. So I know you've only just tuned in and I appreciate the view. So thank you very much for liking. Thank you very much for watching the show. Really, really appreciate it, Lisa. Always good to see new people into the channel. But we will wrap it up from here. Just because there wasn't too much to say. Let's be real, it wasn't good enough. Goal fest. If for instance you're a view, if for instance that you was a neutral into the game, it would be a goal fest for you. You'll be loving it. But yeah, it's one of them. Maze, would you take De Zerbi? No, I wouldn't take De Zerbi. I do think De Zerbi, he is doing well at Brighton. I do think that the Europa League has cost Brighton a lot of points this season just because they haven't really got the squad to do all competitions, and that's understandable because they are still they're still a team that needs the development. But there is obviously other managers about if we needed a new manager, and if that's going to be Ruben Amorim or Julian Nagelsmann, or if that's Hansi Flick or Enrique. There's loads of managers out there, and obviously I did do a TikTok video recently, and obviously with the talents that could be at new potential talented managers, the best upcoming managers, and one that I have obviously mentioned Xabi Alonso, but he is staying at Bayern Munich. Arne Slot from Feyenoord, another fantastic talent that you could go with. Giles from Ali House, so he's another option. He's doing well there. The Stuttgart manager is another one who's doing well, and the Bologna manager Matata, he's another manager who's doing well. So there's a lot of managers out there who you could go for. De Zerbi for me is not the answer, but right now we don't know who's gonna be the answer because there's still a lot of work what needs to be done upstairs before we can consider everything else. The whole momentum needs to change from the entire club before we can consider the likes of bringing in a top talented manager, because right now I genuinely don't think that any manager is going to work in this Manchester United team based off the egos, the Glazers, the board, because the board is still is only quite new at the moment, and we need to see on what Sir Jim Ratcliffe is all about before we do consider anyone else. I don't think, though, in my opinion, Manchester United will get rid of Eric Ten Hag. I don't think they will sack him. As much as I don't, as much as I look at it and said before that if he carries on the way he's playing, he's not going to have a job. I can't even see us get sacking him either, just for the point of buying out his contract. Because right now, Jim Ratcliffe is looking at the finances and thinking, what can I pay on? What should I do? What kind of thing? Because they all talk about changing the board. They all talk about changing um change about a new stadium or revamping Old Trafford. So I think if we were going to get rid of Eric Ten Hag, I think it will wait till his contract expires next year, or otherwise we'll be looking at getting an interim manager because they're not going to pay 30 million euros for Ruben Amorim, and then all the other coaches who I've mentioned are going to have a lower, as going to have a release clause as well. So I think when we go looking into 2026, there's going to be a lot more options. A lot more options, I reckon. Overall point of this team is extremely weak. Mentality all round stems from the manager. I disagree that it stems exactly from the manager because the players didn't have the mentality under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They threw him under the bus. Throw Jose Mourinho on the bus, threw Ralph Rangnick under the bus. So it's not the point of just the manager who doesn't have the mentality. The players have been throwing onto the managers under the bus every 18 months because we're seeing the same pattern constantly. Like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was close to getting sacked before Bruno came, and Bruno revamped that team. And that's how we got third into the lockdown. And we've got, for instance, Jose Mourinho. Despite him winning the several trophies at Manchester United, the players threw him under the bus because they chose Paul Pogba over him. They threw Ralph Rangnick under the bus because they thought I couldn't give a crap about Ralph Rangnick because he's only an interim manager, and they went and thrown out. They went and thrown every single manager under the bus because they don't want to work. They're lazy. And so I don't personally believe it's the manager with the mentality personally. Bruno is a better attacking player, but defensively shocking, which is the difference. And Maisy is right for De Zerbi because he's not generally good against low block sides. United need new coach. New manager and culture is important. But will Dutch style football work in the Prem if Eric Ten Hag is not working? But this is the problem is not every Dutch manager is going to have the same tactics as Eric Ten Hag. Every single manager is going to have a different type of tactic, even if they look similar. There's going to be different in some kind of way. And I do think that we can't just write off the Dutch league, and we can't just write off a Dutch manager just because it hasn't worked out for Eric Ten Hag. I do think that I would prefer to look at other leagues if we're going to get players, not because I'm writing off a Dutch player or a Dutch league player, because we have looked at there numerous of times and we need to have more scouts all over the world. But no, I wouldn't necessarily write off a Dutch style because every single manager has a different style of play. United need to fox up because they will keep falling behind. We've been falling behind since 2013, rather. No, because you need players that are not just technically sound but physically strong and have a high level of stamina to play that way. The players don't have the stamina to play that way, though. That's the point. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have got a world class manager who wants to have you have the legs for it. They won't run. Like you look at, for instance, Marcus Rashford. Do you think Eric Ten Hag tells him not to run on the pitch? No, he will tell the player to run. Like Sean Dyche, do you think he would literally? Do you think Sean Dyche will let a player not run? I think it's a player who, if a player doesn't want to run, it's not because of a manager or like high levels of stamina. It's because they don't want to. That's the difference. Eric Ten Hag, if he stays, I actually don't see him turning it around. We're too open in the midfield, and the injury concerns worry me more. I don't know what the injury concerns, why they're at what they are, and we won't know that because obviously they're not ever going to announce it. But I just think the amount of games that there is in a Premier League season, on top of being in all competitions does not help at all. And I think in a kind of way, probably not having European football, or if we're going to have European football and we do end up having, for instance, the Europa League or the Conference League and playing the kids, because they do deserve an opportunity to play European football, then I think that will probably help us a bit more longer term. Ragnick was doing from day one. Maisy in the summer, what do you think the club will prioritise? I think they've prioritised the left back already and centre backs. We need to prioritise the defence massively because we haven't got no left backs at all. And clearly, there's something more going on with Malacia than the club's letting on. And Luke Shaw is very injury prone. He's missed over 200 games at Manchester United, and we can't keep that going on. The problem is with the players we sign is a lot of the players that we use they get injured quite a lot. Varane is another one. Casemiro get injured a lot. But these players, before they come to Manchester United, have rarely ever picked up an injury, which is really weird. But I think they'll get two centre backs and a left back for a definite, in my opinion. Rashford is laser. Rashford is using the name of United to boost who is like a lot of players are. I think the thing is the club's quite committed with Marcus Rashford just because it's an academy product, and that's the same with Scott McTominay. I think the club really like the two players, for instance, because they've gone from the academy and it's like the youth, courage, success situation. What Manchester United is supposed to be all about, but yeah, we have the youth, but we don't have the courage or the success. So there's no point in having that logo, if you want me to be honest. The whole situation with Tyrell Malacia makes no sense. I wonder if it's psychological. In my personal opinion, Reese, I actually think Malacia had an ACL injury. Because if you work out from June to January, that's around 10 months injury, and that's how long an acute ACL usually does last for. So if he does have, and then obviously if he has a setback from his ACL, because they've mentioned that he was in rehab, that's just going to set him back further months. And I think it's very hard to recover from an ACL. I think the reason why the club's keeping it quiet regarding the ACL is because they don't want to drop the market value of Tyrell Malacia, because Malacia was bought very cheaply. I think he was only bought for £12 million. So £12 million, you can't really go wrong. And I think if they drop that any less, I don't think they'll be impressed. Let's just say. So I personally think he had an ACL, and I don't want to announce it for the market value reasonings. Maze, what formation currently works with the players? I've tried different formations this season, and no formation does really help. It doesn't really change. But I was saying about going to a back three, because there was injuries. But the thing is with the back three is we've got no centre backs now, so we can't go to a back three now either. We probably just have to sit to the 4-2-3-1. But the problem is Erik ten Hag wouldn't change the formation anyway, so it doesn't really make too much odds. But from that anyway, we will wrap it up. Disappointing game altogether. Hey Dave, thanks for coming into the chat. I've not seen you before. Cold Palmer, we call him. Yeah, so it looks like we've got a Chelsea fan here in the chat. So nice to meet you, Chelsea fan. Dave, good luck for the season, and enjoy being mid-table as per. The formation could be a 6-4-0 and we'd still suffer. Well, yeah. As I say, we'll wrap up. Thank you all for coming into the chat. Really appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. I did advertise this. I'm going to show it you all now anyway for a wrap up. So I advertised this. Love your game shows. Tenable is coming to Devils United. Giving questions from the Premier League anytime in the Premier League history. You've got guessed the top 10 or the 10 in order answers. The same as tenable, you get one lifeline and you can leave at any point. However, you can only pick up the points you have gained. You can win up to 100 points per question with a maximum of 10 questions to be asked. Can you beat Devils United tenable? Contact me for this to be arranged. My details are in the bio, so you can contact me if you are interested in doing the tenable. If you've never watched tenable, this is what tenable looks like. So they'll ask questions like the top 10 in the Premier League in 2001. So obviously you'd go in order in the top 10 and you'd have one lifeline. One answer right would be 10 points, so you can win up to 100 points on it. So if you are interested in doing the tenable, give me a DM and we'll get something arranged. I'm not going to do it as hard as I used to, but because obviously I did like silly questions like who was the fastest goal in the Premier League and how many goals were scored and stuff, and I know they're difficult questions, so obviously with having 10 options for answers, I think it will be a lot easier to do. And I think it might be a bit of fun anyway, just because it has been a long time since we have done a quiz. So if you are interested, my details on Twitter, is Maino Diamonde. So if you are interested, contact me on my Twitter page. As I say, Maino Diamonde. This is my Twitter page on here. So Maino Diamonde. Got my picture of Dennis Rodman with Mason Mount as the cover photo. So I won't be too hard to find, let's just say. Money Maze is good. He's gonna get back. Yeah, I call him Mason Mount Money Mace. Manny Mace, I call him. But a lot Ravi called me Manny Mace as well. So but as I say, if you are interested in the quiz, give me a message. I do want to try and do one very soon so people have a bit of an idea of what can consist of the quiz. I know there has been a name that's been put forward already who wants to join, so I will look at trying doing ones very soon. I just need to sort out everything for questions and stuff. So just give me a message. As I say, Maino Diamonde on Twitter. Maze, do you feel teams don't fear United anymore? No, I don't think no one's feared Manchester United for a very long time. Old Trafford isn't the fortress that used to be under the Sir Alex Ferguson era. And the thing is now is anyone could beat Manchester United. And it has been shown. Bournemouth, Burnley, Brentford, Brighton, they've all picked up points against Manchester United in the last 5 years. And we have seen like very big upsets in the FA Cups as well. One instance, Rochdale, when they knocked us out of the league, one of the cup competitions. So anyone could beat anyone in football anyway, but Manchester United is definitely not feared for football anymore. It's not the same Manchester United what was 11 years ago. You asked some of the toughest and thought proactive questions, still lots of fun. Lovely Maze, thank you to our lumber. Maze is quality, thank you, Rather. Question from Dave, Liverpool coming on the weekend, what's your take? I think it's going to be a very tough game, Liverpool. Liverpool has a great team. I know they're riddled with injuries as well at the moment, but no matter what, if Liverpool are behind or they're winning, they will always find a way to pick up the 3 points. Not many teams have managed to beat Liverpool this season, and I think it says a lot that only Manchester United have had a clean sheet at Anfield, so they've got a very solid defence as well as attack. Because obviously Mo Salah in there, Cody Gakpo scored tonight, so I'm not hopeful. I'll be honest. I'm not hopeful for the win. I can't see us winning, but if we do win, I will be celebrating no matter what because there's nothing better than beating your rivals. And you'll agree with that, Dave, being a Chelsea fan, beating Fulham, Arsenal, Spurs. It's nothing better than doing that. So if we were to beat Liverpool, despite everything, I will be happy. Same with when we beat the FA Cup. I was thrilled that we beat Liverpool, but it's just obviously only covering cracks with a piece of paper, unfortunately. Being an A stream, thank you so much, Reese. And as for the weekend, I had hopes, but I'm not sure now. I have no hopes, unfortunately. Maze, do you feel things will change? This is the problem, is I'm not too sure how much will change. I know the ownership has definitely changed, but the problem is the situation with Jim Ratcliffe is not going to change overnight, in the respect of we're not going to get instant success because Jim Ratcliffe has come to Manchester United. We're not going to think that, right, okay, we're going to get back to being consistent Premier League winners. It just doesn't work like that. I think a lot of things need to be done. Obviously, the board is getting fixed, and I think that's the main priority, even more of a main priority over the players. I know people disagree with that, but we had full of businessmen, and we need people who have a great head for the football. It's not even just the men's side. The women's football needs to, for the Manchester United, needs to change dramatically as well. Especially knowing at the fact that Skinner's contract's up in the summer, so a lot of things do need to change. And I think we are going to be looking at least a few years until we do see something. We see it's the same with City. It took years for them to become the Manchester City team it is today, and Newcastle, they're under that transition at the moment. I know they're not looking good at the moment with Eddie Howe, but with the current ownership they have, they can eventually become a top Premier League team if they were to continue to do what they're doing. So I'm hoping things will change. But I think it's going to be a very long time until we do see some kind of change. Let's get the likes get to 15 likes. Yeah, so thank you everybody for watching. As I say, hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. If you are interested in doing the quiz, give me a contact on Man Utd Monday on Twitter. Establishing a structure and fully implementing a proper scout department. You know what, Reese? I'm just gonna say it as is, and you'll disagree. You'll probably disagree with me. The scouting department isn't the issue. The issue is the recruitment side. Because if you're looking at the scouting, they're scouting Caicedos, they're scouting Ellis Sims, they're scouting top players all over the world. But we say no. We say no to these players because we don't want to pay that amount of money for an unknown player. So I actually don't think it's the scouts that are the issue. I actually think it's the recruitment side that's more of the issue, because they think, I don't want to pay that much for a player. But I think the manager needs to have a bit less say on who to sign. Because honestly, I can't cope with another 10 signing. Like, just look at the state of Amrabat, and that's all I need to say. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe. Have a lovely evening. For some, your night's been great. For some, maybe not, like myself with Manchester United. But have a nice night. Bye bye.